Appreciate his time. Coach Ragle, welcome back to Idaho Sports Talk, man.
Johnny, Mike, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Always, Coach. I knew you were going to come on today. You were scheduled to come on. I knew you were. I think I know what type of dude you are. And you had a very emotional press conference following Saturday's loss to UC Davis. And, I'm just going to start you right off with this, Coach. Do you regret any of that emotion?
Well, I think that, first let me say, when you're a guy that's wired like me, I'm a lot of emotion, I think that there's things that I would take back for sure. But I think, and I addressed this with the reporter yesterday before our press conference here on Mondays. We go at 1:30. I don't think it was. I don't dispute the things I said. What I had a issue with the particular reporter was that if you're going to quote me and you and I are having a discussion, you have to, and you know what the content of that discussion is, you have to share that with your readers, in my opinion. You can't just put a quote down and just leave it as a quote. There's no context to what that you and I were talking about. And so I was, to be very honest with you, I was a little displeased in how the article was written. And I don't very rarely get into saying those kind of things. And, I addressed it with him, face to face. I'm going to move on. I think that it's a valuable lesson as you grow as a coach. But, when people ask a lot of times that, hey, man, these guys just give canned answers, there's a reason why. I try and be honest, and I try and, shoot from the heart and call it like I see it. And, maybe I'm off sometimes. And so, yeah, I think that, I definitely would take a couple of those things back, but I don't feel like the context was displayed, the right way either.
Talking to Idaho State football coach Charlie Ragle, one of our good buddies. We love this guy, and hopefully you get better. I want to talk about you here in a little bit, just to make sure you're doing okay, Coach. We care about you over here, and it's the first time we've said that about an Idaho State coach in a long time. So, but let's get on the record though, in terms of what context did you want to get out there and kind of summarize what you wanted to say. You were miserable. You weren't happy with your players. You got your butt kicked. You're always open and honest about how it happened. So maybe just kind of give us the Cliff's Notes version of what those 2 hours you went through your perspective, through your eyes.
Yeah, well, I think some of the context about being miserable had to do with, what I had been going through from a health perspective. And I don't think that was portrayed correctly. It comes off like saying I've been miserable here for the last 9.5, 10 months. I've been dealing with this AFib, and that's what the context of that. So, the people here in Pocatello have been outstanding to me. And that really hurt when it was portrayed that way. There was a, in terms of talking about the players, I was harsh on them, but you know what, somebody has to be, and as I said, like, if things don't, nothing changes if nothing changes. And I ruffled some feathers and I pissed some people off. And that was, to a degree, not my intent on the personal side. Okay. Not at all, but I am going to challenge Idaho State University, this community, and these football players, because I promise you, I'm doing that to myself twice as much and to our staff. But if we don't come at it a different way, man, coming in here and doing the same things that they've done will just result in the same results that have happened here for decades.
Coach,
so
go ahead.
No, I just, as far as the players, I just said we have a standard. There's an expectation now of how hard we're going to play, regardless of the talent that we have on the field. There is a standard of effort that will not be, bended or broke or given 1 inch. You either play to that standard or you can't be a part of this football program. And I was displeased with how we played from that standpoint. And, I let it be known.
The theme was kind of widespread changes. You said, if I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose with guys that, care, guys that make it matter. And some of you guys are going to be done playing here because you're seniors. The rest of you are going to be done because you're not playing here anymore. And that's just the reality of it. How did the players respond to that?
you know what? I think they know it's the truth. And again, I wasn't talking to again, let's talk about the context. I wasn't talking about the entire team because I said, we got a bunch of guys that are playing their tails off. And I said, I'm going to take those 45 or 50 guys and I'm going to go to Weber and play with them, because if I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose it with guys that are doing it my way. And eventually we'll get enough guys in here that everybody's doing it that way. And, sometimes, and I'm a big believer in positivity, man. Like, I know it doesn't sound like it right now, but I know you win way more with loving kids and pushing them in a positive manner. But sometimes the truth has to be told. And it's like my wife said, my wife was going out of town on the other day, and I didn't see her on Sunday because I was up early and I got home late. She was leaving early Monday morning. And this is the mentality that we have, and it's in my household. It's who I associate with. She just wrote me a card, said, hang in there. I love you. You're going to get this thing right. And she says to remember the old quote from Ronnie Reagan, if you can't make them see the light, make them feel the heat. And you know what? There has to be a presence. There has to be a presence about this program that it is not acceptable anymore to lose football games. And until we have that and have that uncomfortable feeling, nothing's going to change.
I have never wanted Weber State to get its ass kicked this bad as I do on Saturday when the Idaho State Bengals come to town. Head coach Charlie Ragle with us right now, obviously. An emotional coach, emotional guy. Prater asked you, how the guys respond, to some of the quotes you had. You said you were, it was taken out of context what you were saying at that press conference. You said you've addressed it with the reporter who wrote the article. You told him that you were displeased with it. How's practice been this week? Sometimes you can turn a negative into a positive, coach, and sometimes things can flip. Any chance, have you noticed at practice this week that things might be different when essentially you put a lot of these dudes on blast saying, hey, some of you guys won't be playing on this team this year? And I know a lot of coaches who've said that in the past too.
Yeah, well, let me say this before I answer that question. I don't dispute the quotes that he had. And I told him that. But there was one thing that he put in there that I asked him to keep off the record. And I asked him that. I was using a metaphor and explaining something to him, and I said, don't write this. I want you to understand the metaphor. He didn't do that. He wrote it anyway. And the quotes are the quotes. I'm not disputing what I said, but again, it's the context of what we were talking about and how we were talking about it. As far as the players go, they know what I said to them. You know what I mean? They know. They were in the locker room, man to man. They know what I said to them. And I think that anything that they understand and know throughout our program, the 10 months that we've been here, is I'm going to coach you hard. I'm going to love you harder. And my door is always open. And if you want to talk one-on-one, we can come in and we can have those conversations. But the one thing you're going to get from myself and our staff is the truth. And, that goes both ways. And so, I've got big shoulders, and if you don't like that there's something that we're doing, you can certainly come in and have that conversation with us. But as I tell them, the truth and loyalty are a two-way street. And so you want to come in and you want to drop truth on us, be prepared that the truth is going to come right back to you. And I'll be honest, I didn't get any kind of blowback from our players because our players understand what the expectation is, and they know that we did not meet the standard out at Davis last Saturday. So, are our guys tired? Is it the end of the year? Are our guys frustrated that the season hasn't gone the way it is? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew what I was getting into when I took this job. And I can't sit here and tell you, it's hard. I knew it was going to be hard, and it's probably harder than I thought it was going to be. But I had an idea, and there's phases to this, and there's stages to this, and we're going through a tough stage here in year one, and some growing pains and some learning curves, but it's a process in order to get where we've got to go. And right now we're going through some fire, but we're going to be better because of it in the end.
Coach, I can't believe I'm saying this, Coach Charlie Ragle, Idaho State football, but you've got 11 days left in your season. Where did the time go? It's crazy. 11 days left in your season. What do you accomplish in these next 11 days that you can take into the offseason?
Well, I think there's two things. I think one, big picture, that we'd love nothing more than to beat Weber and beat Idaho and put a little spoiler in both those guys' seasons. And obviously both of them are having a tremendous year. Jason's done a great job and getting that thing back on track there in Idaho, and Jay has been a constant success there in Weber after getting in there and taking over when he did a first couple tough years before he got that thing rolling. And so that is huge, right? It helps with recruiting. If we could come in and steal 2 wins, one of the two, whatever, we get some momentum. That's one thing that would help us for recruiting and just the big picture of the program. But
Coach,
as far as the 11 days go, it's not just about that. It's just this job is a 365-day job that we are working at every single day to get better, from our culture to everything, every little facet that we do in the program. We're working on that on the daily. So yeah, it is 11 days of actual football, but it's just another day in the life of Bengal football as we work to resurrect this program long term.
Watch this game Saturday, 1 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Idaho State doing a good job. Let's hope that they can get this thing going. Love this interview with Charlie Ragle. They are in Ogden to take on Weber State. ESPN Plus, 1 p.m. Coach, I mean, you're taking the full travel amount, I assume, right? You were quoted saying that you only plan to take 45 to 50 guys on this trip because you want to take the ones that matter. Was that something that maybe you wanted to take back now? You're taking your full allotment, I'd assume?
Well, yes, obviously. Okay, but again, in the context, if you're not going to play hard and do the things that we demand of you, I'll take the 45 or 50 guys to Weber that are going to do that. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I said that, but again, understanding in the context of what I was talking about. And so, we're going to take the league limit, 64 guys. We've got some young guys that we're going to try and play, and mix it up a little bit. But, yes.
Coach Ragle, in terms of let's talk about something real quick before I let you get back to football. But this will put a smile on your face. Here in about 5 minutes, we're going to talk to Davis Cutter and Dirk Cutter, and you're very, very close to Dirk Cutter. I know you have a long history together. I'm assuming at some point in your football life, you've watched these two knuckleheads interact. One's a retiring football coach. One's a retiring player who wants to become a football coach. What have you noticed when you observe Davis and Dirk Cutter and how they interact on a football field?
Well, I think the first thing when I looked at the schedule today of where I was coming in and to see that I was the prelude to the Cutters times 2, it warmed my heart. I remember watching Davis when he was, when I was GM for Dirk so many years ago, and he was just a kid, a little kid. And to watch him, from afar through Dirk and follow his, travels and watch him grow into the player that he's become and the young man that he's become at Boise State is awfully impressive. And I know I know Dirk's awfully proud of him, and it's a pretty awesome testament to those guys, Kim and Dirk, doing a great job as his parents. But I just think it's a really special deal to be able to, how the situation unfolded. Dirk steps in. It's, the last, back half of Davis's season of his final football playing career. I think it's a neat story, and obviously it's two people that I care about and a family that I care about and have a great deal of love and respect for. So it's just awesome.
Well, they care about you as well, Coach, and stay tough. That's what this is about. You're going to flip this thing. I mean, this is a tough gig you got over there in Pocatello. History has told that story ultimately, and you're going to flip this thing. And let's start with beating Weber State this weekend. And I think me and Prater really appreciate you coming on. There was a lot going on with this program the last couple of days, and a lot of coaches would have said, I'm going to pass on this. You did not. You came on Idaho Sports Talk, and I got a lot of respect for you, Coach, and I know my partner does too.
Likewise, Coach. Get better, bud. We like you a lot around here, so stick around and get some wins.
Stay healthy.
Yeah, I will. I appreciate you guys. And listen, I knew when I took this was going to be a tough gig, but I understand where we're going, and we're going to get this thing right. I've said that from the beginning, and I appreciate you guys having me on. And you know what? I just, again, appreciate your support. And as we say, TTM and go Bengals.
I love it. All right, Coach Charlie Ragle there, Prater. We had a feeling that was going to be a good interview. I think we can check the box saying good interview, check. And
Yes, sir.
I think this next segment, too, is another good box check interview, huh?
Just how bad of a football coach is Dirk Cutter?
You'll hear from Dirk Cutter. You'll hear from Davis Cutter, the Cutters, when we come back on Idaho Sports Talk.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic